Now, what if when you're going through the title an issue arises? How can someone clean up a title on a property?
I know you wanted to get into escrow, so I'm going to just kind of jump forward
Mhm.
on that. And this is where escrow comes into play. So envision yourself as a buyer, as a seller. The purchase and sale has been signed around. Everybody's super excited to close in 30 days. And what happens in those 30 days? What takes place is essentially title is doing all their research and looking for anything of record, as we mentioned before. And what they find, they place on that title report, good, bad, indifferent. Now, what escrow is going to do is they're going to be handling the transactional aspect of that sale. So they're going to make sure they're communicating with the lender. They're going to make sure they're communicating with all parties and also verifying, who everybody is and making sure that everything is done properly. Once that report is completed, they also get a copy of that title report. And then what their goal is to clear title and make sure that property is clean and ready to go. So once again, it can be transferred to that new buyer, and that debt, if they're going to get a loan, is going to be able to be in first lien position. And quickly, what I mean by first lien position is that when a lender is letting a borrower borrow money to purchase a home, they want to make sure they are the first item on that title report stating that they are securing a debt on that property. And so if there's a mechanics lien, like I referenced earlier, stating that maybe a painter needs to be paid, they do not want to be sitting behind that person or after that person on the title report, because it's all done essentially in date order to a certain degree, for lack of a better word, on that title report.
Yeah, that's great info right there. And you kind of did right there cover what an escrow officer's role is. Is there anything else you'd like to add on to that, or should we get into the final question right here?
Well, if I could add a few more things, because I
Yeah,
want to
go for
also
it.
point out on the escrow side of it, on top of clearing title, their goal again is to communicate with all parties, make sure they're verifying everybody's information, make sure they're communicating with the lender, make sure everybody is staying within the proper guidelines of all the details, and making sure everybody's rights are being handled properly. And escrow is a neutral third party that basically makes sure that the transaction runs smoothly and transfers ownership and closes. You're going to be dealing with escrow during that purchase process very closely. You'll get a lot of questions, sometimes seems a little redundant, but at the same time, it's very important for escrow to communicate with all parties to make sure they have all the accurate information. And when I say all, there is a lot of information, because we're going to be asking items on the escrow side from us. We'll be asking items that are needed by the lender. So sometimes, even though it seems like we might have asked for one item, we'll have to ask for another item for, say, the lender and their guidelines. Once you're in escrow, be patient, and they'll make sure that it runs smoothly, closes, and transfers ownership so you can have your wonderful home and your title is clean for you to have for the future.
Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts when you're getting into a real estate transaction. So escrow is going to be having to do a lot of work. And so if you're a buyer, you don't get up in arms if they keep asking you certain questions. Same with the seller. They're doing their job to make sure the transaction runs smoothly.